a news report that identified 8 or 9 senators, and there were names on that list, 8 or 9 senators who wanted to restore the confidential and intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. Mr. President, tumayo po ako dito dahil masamang-masama po ang loob ko. I really felt insulted, and I think my other colleagues here also felt the same way.
The next time around that we are going to have our caucus or executive session, hindi na ako basta-basta magsasalita. Baka mamaya, meron na naman maglilik sa media. So pangit po, 24 lang tayo dito na senador at hindi pa natin mapagkatiwalaan ang isa't isa natin, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, yesterday we had an all senators caucus and we discussed lengthily the budget of the Republic of the Philippines. And just before we entered this august chamber, much to my dismay and much to our dismay, there was a news report that identified 8 or 9 senators, and there were names on that list, 8 or 9 senators who wanted to restore the confidential and intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. And I wish to tell the people of the Philippines that there was no votation that happened yesterday with regard to the intelligence fund of the Vice President and the Department of Education. In fact, we had an executive session, and I do not know who of our colleagues who scooped or leaked our conversation to this media outlet. I have been a senator here for more than 10 years. And this is the first time that I encountered a scoop or a leakage. I do not know. I do not want to name names. This is a violation of our rules. And the majority floor leader will expound it later. Mr. President, we discussed lengthily for almost 2 hours the schedule, etc., of the budget of the Republic of the Philippines. We never touched or we never voted with regard to all the intelligence fund or confidential fund. In fact, we agreed unanimously to remove all the confidential and intelligence fund, not only that of the Office of the Vice President, including not only that of the Department of Education, but all security or civilian agencies na merong confidential and intelligence fund. Mr. President, nawala. I will just read. Sino mga pangalan? First on the list, Senator Robin Padilla, Christopher Bongo, Ramon Bong Revilla Jr., Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Jingo Estrada, Lito Lapid, Francis Tolentino, and Cynthia Villar. They are putting us in a bad light, and I condemn this. And I take offense on this. Nakalagay pa, Senator Pia Cayetano is said to be supportive of reinstating Duterte's confidential funds if she can justify the need for them. This is not true. And I hope Senator Pia Cayetano will agree with me. Mr. President,
Please proceed.
thank you, Mr. President. And if I may quote, an scooper told this media outlet that Senators Sani Angara, Francis Escudero, Rafi Tulfo, Aquilino Pimentel III, and Risa Hontiveros are allegedly against the reinstatement of Duterte's secret allocation, which are lodged under the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education. Mali-mali po itong report, Mr. President. And I think Senator Angara must not be included in this list. And among the offices, Duterte's allocation was part of the 1.2 billion in confidential funds that the House realigned to agencies focused on the West Philippine Sea. Mr. President, tumayo po ako rito dahil masamang-masama po ang loob ko. I really felt insulted. And I think my other colleagues here also felt the same way, Mr. President. And Mr. President, I stand before you and I want to make this recommendation, maybe to talk to this media outlet or to summon this media outlet and ask them who among us violated our rules, who among us leaked what transpired in our executive session yesterday. That's all, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Bato de la Rosa is recognized.
Mr. President, it is very unfortunate that this kind of incident happened within our midst. Number one, Mr. President, it creates distrust from among us 24 senators. Ibig sabihin, the next time around that we are going to have our caucus or executive session, hindi na ako basta-basta magsasalita. Baka mamaya, meron na naman maglilik sa media. So pangit po, 24 lang tayo dito na senador at hindi pa natin mapagkatiwalaan ang isa't isa natin, Mr. President. Number two, it tarnished the image of the Senate. 24 lang tayong hinalal ng buong Pilipinas at hindi pa natin mapagkatiwalaan ang isa sa atin na pwedeng nag-leak. If indeed, it was leaked by any member of the Senate. Kung ang nag-leak naman noon ay empleyado na nandoon sa loob, well, as a police officer, former police officer, Mr. President, I can vividly recall kung sinong nandoon sa loob. Dalawang staff ni Senator Angara. Mavic,
Oh, Attorney Mavic.
Attorney Mavic. At may isang kasama si Attorney Mavic na babae. So, apat silang nalaman ko na nandoon sa loob. Magprangkahan tayo dito. Dapat we have to made into account yung tao na responsable dito. Hindi lang na magsisente ng stern warning sa kanila, kundi the damage has been done. Lumabas na yung balita niya, nasira na kung sinong dapat masira, but I don't care kung masira ang reputasyon ko. Ang sa akin lang, ma-preserve yung ating reputasyon sa Senate. Hindi po maganda yung hindi tayo magkakatiwalaan dito. 24 lang tayo, Mr. President.
And the waiter staff, huwag mo kalimutan yung mga staff sa likod. Yung mga waiter din, yung nandun din sila.
Isama natin sa investigasyon niyo, Mr. President.
So if the chamber wishes, I can ask Senator Nancy Binay, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Ethics, to look into this closely, if it is all right with the body.
Yes, I support, Mr. President, I support the call of Senator Jingo Estrada that yung source nitong news na ito, if it is a politiscope, he has to be called before a hearing para malaman natin kung sinong source niya. At kung hindi siya magsabi ng totoo, I will be the first one to move for the citing in contempt of that media personnel, Mr. President. Ikulong natin yan kung ayaw magsabi ng totoo. Mr. President, this is not a laughing matter. This is serious. Filipino people are watching us right now. Sabihin nila, ganyan na pala Senado ngayon, hindi ba pagkatiwalaan? Sila lang nag-uusap, maglilik pa doon sa media. It's very dangerous, Mr. President. Very dangerous. Masyadong akong dismayado. Thank you, Mr. President.
We agree with the gentleman from Davao, and that's why after these proceedings, I will ask Senator Nancy Binay, Chair of the Committee on Ethics, to investigate the matter.
Yes, Mr. President.
After Senator, yes.
Mr. President.
May I move that the Senate Committee on Ethics conduct a hearing and invite the source of the news, Mr. President, so that everything will be cleared out.
Senator Pia Cayetano's recognized.
Thank you. Mr. President, let me align myself with the observation and recommendation of the Senate President Pro Temp. I did not stand, I did not raise my hand with the intention of clearing any statement I made. I did not even read that. I don't bother reading those kind of articles. I don't. So, nung nabanggit pa yung pangalan ko, nagugulat lang ako kasi I don't bother reading those articles and I won't comment on it. What I will say is this. I will say it not because I'm repeating what I said in caucus, because I agree with Senate President Pro Temp that let's discuss it there. Because if our rules do not even make an exception. It does not even allow a senator to say, I will just repeat what I said. Walang ganun exception, Majority Floor Leader, correct? So I cannot stand up here and said, I will just be responsible for my statement. Ito po yung sinabi ko. Hindi tayo allowed, walang exception sa rules natin na tumayo ang isang senador at sabihin, yung akin pong sinabi doon, ito. Kasi hindi naman magkaroon ng opportunity yung ibang 23 senators to explain what they said or what they thought. Because precisely the rule is, lahat tayo tahimik. At kaya ang parusa doon, yung pinakamabigat na parusa na expulsion from the Senate. So, ang puntos ko ay simple. Chairman ako ng isang mahalagang committee na naghihiring ng budget na yan. DepEd, CHED, DOH, and attached agencies. So, on the issue of confidential funds, intelligence funds, or kung ano pa man, ako gusto ko, tanungin ng mga senador sa floor, yung mga tanong nila tungkol doon, para makapagdesisyon ang bawat senador kung ano ang tingin niyang nararapat na gawin sa mga pondong yan. Confidential, non-confidential, anything. So, yun yung gusto kong klase na diskusyon. So, kung nagkaroon tayo ng executive session na napag-usapan man ng ganon, hindi nga dapat lumalabas yon kasi nga, ang mga subcommittee chairman na katulad ko ay magre-recommend sa chairman na si Senator Angara kung ano dapat gawin sa mga pondong yon. Hindi ko naman didesisyonan mag-isa yon. Didesisyonan ko yon based on the debates. I would like to be educated properly based on the rules of the Senate. Gusto ko marinig yung posisyon ng Minority Floor Leader, ng Deputy Minority Floor Leader, ng Senate President, ng Senate President Pro Temp, ng mga baguhan na senator. Gusto ko marinig lahat yon. Ano ang paniwala nyo tungkol dito sa mga iba-ibang pondo and what will we do about it? Tapos, iharap natin sa taong bayan kung ano desisyon natin. So kaya nga, and I'm explaining this because the students, the young people, the old people who will now care to comment, bakit ba may executive session? Bakit ba kayo nagsisikreto? Wala naman kaming balak isikreto, ilalabas nga yun. Pero minsan may mga diskusyon na gusto natin marinig yung opinion ng bawat isa na walang titigil nung, kunyari gusto kong magtanong ng, it's a stupid question, pero tatanungin ko na, di ako mahihiya. Diba? Aminin natin, minsan nahihiya tayong magtanong dahil kasi bago lang ako, di kaya kami executive session para lahat pwedeng maitanong, lahat pwedeng mailabas. Kaya dapat sikreto yun. And then at the right time, mapapag-usapan. I wanted to explain that lang, Mr. President, for the benefit of those watching us. Kasi ang puntos is, bakit kayo may executive session? Bakit kayo may tinatago? Wala akong tinatago. Nagdidiskusyon ng maayos para bang magulang. Let's say, for example, na wala tong nangyaring ganito sisermo na ni Senate President o kaya ni Senate President Pro Temp ako, sisermo na nila ako. They will do that in private. In the executive session, ay Pia, di mo naintindihan. So gagawin namin yun in private para pagdating to sa public, ganun ba? O sige, tatanungin ko na lang in public o kaya di ko na tatanungin dahil naipaliwanag nyo na. That's the reason among many other reasons kung bakit may executive session. I just wanted to explain that dahil ang puntos nito is bakit may executive session at bakit may mabigat na kaparusahan. Wala tayong tinatago. But the reason for the rules is because it is meant to be followed. It is not meant to be violated. So kung may nag-violate, magkaroon ng tamang due process, magkaroon ng hearing, magkaroon ng opportunity to explain, and then the proper penalty must be meted out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator Cayetano.